Greetings, viewers and listeners. Welcome to Tittle Tassel with Asantua. This is Did You Know This? I'm Marian, your host. Did you know that greatness comes in different forms? Did you know that not all accomplished people are spotted among the crowd? Did you know that an unassuming persona can propel you to greatness at the amazement of observers? Our guest today is a professor of chemistry. He is a former head of the Department of Chemistry of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He is a beneficiary of the Royal Society Leverhulme Africa Award grant. He started his formal education at the Red Church School in Accra and then followed on to have his secondary education at St. Augustine's College in Cape Coast, and then to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology for his bachelor's and PhD. He is a two-time president of the Kumasi branch of the Ghana Science Association and immediate past secretary of the national branch of the Ghana Science Association. He also served as chair of the Night Summer School of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, which offered different categories of staff of the entire university community an opportunity to reflect on how what they do aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our guest is a Roman Catholic and worships at the Our Lady of the Holy Rosary Chaplaincy at KNUST. He is also a member of the Full Gospel Businessmen Fellowship. He is married with a daughter and two sons. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is Professor Nathaniel Owusu. Welcome, Prof, to the Tato.
Thank you very much.
Now, I think it's safe to shake your hands because Corona is almost under control now. Yeah, so I have introduced you with quite a bit. Is there anything else you'd like to add as far as your background is concerned?
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be on your program. It's a rare privilege. I deem it a privilege to be on this program, looking at the kind of personalities that have been on the program. Well, thank you very much. The introduction you gave sums everything up, but I have a few things to add. I was born in Kumasi, but grew up in Accra. And early childhood I spent at Abuabu. I remember that that was where my mom used to live. But if you ask me now where I was living, I do not know the exact building. Growing up was fun at the time. I started school at Laboni SDA and then went on to Richard School. And then
I guess you were not old enough in Kumasi to go to school.
No, I was just about 3 when I went to Accra.
Okay.
I was just about 3 when I went to Accra. So basically all my education was, basic education was in Accra. Then I went to St. Augustine's, as you rightly said. My hometown is interesting. As an Akan, I'm supposed to come from my mother's hometown, and so I would have been from Wakese if that was the case. But growing up, I couldn't spell Wakese, so I chose my father's hometown instead, which is Mampong. So on record,
2 syllables, very simple.
on record, I come from Mampong, but in reality, I am from Wakese, which is in the Busimche district. So I think that's what I'll add to what you have already said.
All right. Did you always want to be a lecturer?
Well, it never crossed my mind. In fact, when I went on to do my master's, my intention was to maybe work at a mining company or maybe EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. It never crossed my mind that I'll ever come to the classroom to teach. But this is where I find myself now. How did it all happen, if I may continue? And so I remember when I completed, I was about to complete my master's in environmental chemistry I had wanted to work at EPA, so I applied to EPA and I applied to other mining companies. I got a few interviews though, but I was on campus one time when I met one of the lecturers that taught us, Dr. ABC Datson. And he gave me a lift. And in the car, he asked me, so after school, what next? What do you want to do? I said, well, I'm looking for a job. Then he said, have you considered lecturership? I said, no, because it is known that in our department, those that would be lecturers are more like handpicked. And I have not been handpicked, so I don't even consider that as an option. Then he said that he who is down fears no fall. if you try and you don't get it, what do you lose? That was how come I applied for lecturership. And that's why I find myself here today.
All right. If I should backtrack a bit, as a child, what were your dreams? What did you want to become?
So growing up, I was fascinated by science, even though I didn't know what I would become with it. I thought of engineering in my early childhood when I used to watch Peter in the Storybox on TV. I thought that engineering would be fun, and so growing up, I thought I would become an engineer. I liked chemistry and biology, and so because of that, in the secondary school, I opted for biology instead of mathematics. At that time, you could only choose one, and that limited my chances to biologically related courses. But medicine was not the option, so my thought was that I would become a pharmacist. But I didn't get that option when I selected my courses, and I got chemistry instead, and it has been a blessing.
All right. And continuing on that blessing trajectory, you are currently recently promoted to what otherwise would be called full professor or professor of chemistry. How is the feeling? I think you are the youngest right now in the university. We cannot say that on authority, so I say I think. How is the feeling?
Well, it's a mixed feeling. At one point, I feel that I have achieved something. At another point, I feel that this is the beginning of work. Because looking at what you said, I have many years ahead of me. And I was fortunate to meet Professor Paul O'Brien of blessed memory, who tutored me throughout my PhD program. And he happened to be a professor very early in his life, but worked so hard even in his old age. And so I see this as the beginning of hard work. And I hope God gives me strength to work. So far, my focus has been on getting grants for research. And I hope that I get big ones that will bring more students into my area. Some way, somehow, we have not attracted inorganic chemists. We only have few students daring to enter that area. I think that it is a matter of making it more attractive and also getting funding for research that will bring people to that area. So that is what I will be working on.
Would it be fair to say that there's a general perception that if you don't get a chance in academia with inorganic chemistry, you probably don't have many options on our side of the world?
I think it's a false conception. Why do I say that? Every inorganic chemist is a chemist first and foremost. And the area of inorganic chemistry expands or extends to other aspects of chemistry. And so it is basic knowledge, the idea that people think that once they get into other disciplines of chemistry, they will find work easier than being an inorganic chemist. that is what is pushing people to do other things rather than inorganic chemistry. But those few people who are there to come enjoy the program and find jobs too. Academia, yes, but there are research institutes and there are other companies that they can find work.
All right. I want you to share with the viewers some of the key points or your mantras or your principles that have propelled you to get to where you are at this stage of your life.
Thank you. So it starts from, as they say, charity begins at home. I was preached to right from my childhood to work hard. And so I focused on working hard through the primary school. And any time that I worked hard, I got a reward, not from my parents, but even from the school. You know, you are always, clapped for and all those things. So that was the beginning. Then in the secondary school at St. Augustine's, our motto is Omnia Winkel Labor, which gets into our head. Hard work or perseverance conquers all. So that has been the motto, more or less, together with the spiritual formation. So God in everything. You cannot take God out of the equation. Without Him, we can do nothing. So those two have guided me on.
All right, thank you. I mentioned some of the leadership positions you have occupied along the journey, being head of department, your romance with the Ghana Science Association, among others. Would you like to share some highlights or high points of these positions and some achievements?
All right, so thank you very much for the kind of introduction that you gave me from the beginning and these positions that you mentioned. I would say that leadership began very early in my life. I remember my first position was based on merit. There was, I think in class 6, there was a lady who was better than me. So she became the school prefect and I became the assistant school prefect.
Your school was very gender sensitive, even before the gene, I think.
Well, I think that she was just so good. If I had passed her, I would have become the school prefect. And then she would have.
In some institutions, the position was just a preserve. The head boy, it had to be a head boy, right? Unless it was
that is true.
It's worth noting.
That is true. So that was where I began from. But she left quickly to the secondary school, so I became the school prefect.
Okay.
And yes, so I had to learn how to lead from that time.
Very early.
Yes, and when I came to the university, in the secondary school, I wasn't a prefect, but I was the leader of a sort in the Catholic Charismatic Renewal. And then when I came to the university, I joined Foundation for Future Leaders International and became the president. And also, I held other positions here and there. I was the national, how do you call it, GSCS, now GSCS, it used to be the Student Chemical Society treasurer. And then I became a senator during the graduate school period. So I have held certain positions. We're talking about these 3 or 4 that you mentioned, beginning with being head of department. I thought that I was ill prepared for the job at the beginning because not that I couldn't manage, but because of the kind of setting we had in the department. When you have all the lecturers that taught you in the department, then you have to be their head. And you wonder how to approach these men and how to assign them their duties. So that was the challenge I thought I was going to face. However, through counseling and then discussions, I think I was able to maneuver my way through. And there were some successes chalked because that was the time that we became the second best department in the whole university. And I remember taking a plaque from Otumfo, so on behalf of the department. And so it was a mixed I remember when I became head and I told my friend a friend who did pharmacy that I was head of department. He said, "Is it the whole department or a section?" Because he couldn't just believe that I had become the head of chemistry department, which tells you how big the department is and the kind of different people that we have in the department. So that was quite an interesting position that I held, and I think I learned a lot from there. Talking about the national secretary position, it gave me the opportunity to know what happens in government. Because the Ghana Science Association is a governmental organization. And so today you are recruiting people. Tomorrow you have to go to parliament to go and, how do you call it? A public accounts committee to go and face the public accounts committee. The next time you're doing budget hearing and so many other things. It taught me a whole different kind of leadership. And I think that it will help me in future if I should occupy any governmental position. Apart from that, like you said, I was two-time national president of the Ghana Science Association in Kumasi. And there too, I learned to work with people from different institutions, because we have to work with people from not only KNUST but CSIR and then other institutions. So that also brought some form of collaborative kind of leadership, if I may put it that way.
All right. So have you enjoyed any privileges along the way? I mean, on your journey that you always think about and smile?
Yes. As the national secretary, you tend to meet the executive director of the GTEC now. It used to be National Council for Tertiary Education, now Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, and the Minister for Education and all those. So you feel that you are somewhere, because anywhere you go, you are acknowledged. You meet the Director General of CSIR and he acknowledges you, and you are happy that you are somebody.
No.
But apart from that, I think that even being head, of department, people come to the department and the first point of call is you. And so you sit in high-profile meetings and make decisions for the department and for the college. So I think that those I would call privileges.
Any challenges, particularly with the positions you've occupied? Maybe discrimination because of age, because of nationality, or anything of the sort? Hello viewers and listeners, this is the end of part 1 of our interaction with Professor Nathaniel Owusu. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you.